Hawthorn house soars $1.1 million over reserve as buyers dig deep before year's end. A family paid more than $1.1 million over reserve for a Hawthorn house they plan to knock down as Melbourne's auction market sizzled on first weekend of summer. CoreLogic recorded a preliminary clearance rate of 79.3% from 1410 auctions for the city last week, up from 76.1% the week before, as buyers turned out in droves for one of the last big sale weekends of the year. Hot sales. Richmond Fire Station, East Melbourne Terrace smash reserves. Passed in. Two parties vying for Chris and Beck Judd's prawn pad after auction. High demand. Spotlight on Balwyn's auction market. Some of them dug seriously deep to splash hundreds of thousands of dollars over vendors' reserves for properties east of the CBD. Last week's biggest sale was recorded in Hawthorn, where a three-bedroom home at 49 Berkeley Street fetched $5.1 million against a reserve just below $4 million on Saturday. Jealous Craig, Borrandauer Group director Richard Winnicky said three families proved themselves willing to pay as much as $500,000 over reserve for the 1,038 SQM property before one bidder dropped out at the $4.5 million mark. The other two kept raising their hands until the auction hit $1 million over reserve. Mr. Winnicky said all three buyers had intended to demolish the double brick residence and build a new house on the site, which boasted a coveted Scotch Hill location. This is a popular spot, and there's a lack of quality homes on the market at the moment and demand for them is very high, he said. Plus, it's the end of the year. The next big auction weekend won't be until the end of February, so that's 10 weeks to wait. That can work in the homeowner's favor. A beautifully renovated Victorian at 110 Vale Street, East Melbourne, was the second most expensive house to sell under the hammer in Melbourne last week, fetching a whopping $825,000 over reserve. 6 bidders pushed the sale price for the two-bedroom home, which belonged to late Goldman Sachs chairman Alastair Lucas, to $4.525 million. A former Richmond fire station in need of at least a $1 million renovation at 131 Lord Street also smashed its reserve by $835,000 to achieve $3.335 million under the hammer on Saturday. In Port Melbourne, a bank house at 51 Edwards Avenue fetched $2.365 million against a reserve of $2.2 million after a contest between three bidders. Hawking Stewart, Albert Park director David Wood said a similar property at 42 Beacon Road achieved $1.9 million a year ago. This sale just shows how much growth our market has seen in the last 12 months, he said. And a stack of homes southeast of the CBD also sold for substantially more than what the vendors were willing to accept. A family paid $505,000 over reserve for a brick house they'll demolish at 7 Glenmore Crest, Blackrock, and Hodges Sandringham office also sold 6 Earlsfield Road, Hampton, and 152A Cochrane Street, Brighton for just under $200,000 over reserve. Meanwhile, a Berwick house with a backyard beach was snapped up before its scheduled December 3 auction for $718,000. A Melbourne-based businessman from Brisbane bought the three-bedroom house at 27 Chase Boulevard on the last day of spring, O'Brien Berwick agent Paul Rogers said. The house had an asking price above $650,000 and featured a man-made beach complete with sand, palm trees and a pool fitted with jets to imitate the ripple of the ocean. Mr. Rogers said the beach had attracted a fair amount of interest in the house. We had expected a crowd to turn up at the auction, he said. With Ming Lawham. Samantha.landy@news.com.au. Last week's top auction sales. 1. 49 Berkeley Street, Hawthorn. $5.1 million. 2. 110 Vale Street, East Melbourne. $4.525 million. 3. 9 Ross Street, Kew. $4.35 million. 4. 11 North Terrace, Clifton Hill. $4.23 million. 5. 18 Victoria Street, Brighton. $3.7 million. Source: CoreLogic.